this is your boy Lucas, and today we're going to talk about the best trading strategy for 2022. All right, so a good trading strategy for me is something that's very simple and easy to follow, right? When it's simple and easy to understand, you won't hesitate in the markets and you'll be more confident in your setups, right? So before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get it going. If you guys are looking for a mentor or want me to mentor you, I'm here at the livetradinglab.com. This is pretty much where I'm at 24/7, right? If you have any questions, if you want full access to me, if you want to learn all my strategies, you want trade setups and all that, it's all right here, right? So you can see pretty simple. I call out signals. I do weekly webinars. I do trading content and much more, and I'm always here answering everybody's questions, and I'm very active in this platform here. So you can see pretty simple. If you go to topics here, you can see my signals. If you go to trading material, you can see my trading materials, and you'll see whenever I have scheduled a webinar, it's all going to be up in here. So pretty much this is where I'm at 24/7. So if you're looking for me, if you want to learn more from me and so on, this is where I'm at. So make sure you go check out the livetradinglab.com. All right, guys, so this little diagram I have drawn up here is going to give you a real understanding of technical analysis, right? So right now we have here is this monthly candle, right? So this is just one monthly candle. Now inside one monthly candle, there's going to be 4 weekly candles, right? And this is how the weekly candles are going to look within that one monthly candle. Now, within the monthly candle, if you go down to the daily time frame, there should be around 30 candles, right? So there's going to be around 30 candles on the daily time frame within that one monthly candle, okay? So this is going to really show you what's happening inside of that range, that monthly range for the month. What's the direction for the month, right? So it's going to show you all of that. So just by understanding candles, you could kind of know what direction price is going. Where's the momentum? Has momentum shifted? Did price reverse? And did momentum shift with it, right? So by understanding just that alone, you pretty much got majority of it down packed, right? So I love this strategy because it's very simple and easy to understand. So now you could take the same method, right? Instead of having this as the monthly candle, you can have it as weekly. It'll be weekly, daily, 4 hour, right? So inside of weekly candles, there's going to be 5 daily candles. Inside that weekly candle on a 4 hour, you could see structure, right? And then if you push it even further, let's say this was a daily candle. Inside daily candle is going to be 4 hour candles, and then inside of that daily candle, if you drop down to the 1 hour, you'll see structure, right? So you'll see the trend within that daily candle. So in this case scenario here, I'm going to show you an example of how I like to use it, but I like to use it on the weekly as far as weekly candles. So let's kind of break it down here and let's use that. So here's pretty much how I like to use it, right? Let's say I'm looking at a weekly structure. Let's say this is weekly, structure highs and structure lows. So you got your high, being your low, sorry. You got your higher high, higher low, higher high, right? Now for me, when I'm looking at weekly highs and lows, of course, I'm not just going to be sitting around waiting on, weekly pullbacks and impulses to finish for me to look for entries, right? But at the end of the day, is going to show me what's going on the 4 hour, which is the 4 hour is going to be my main time frame for structure, right? So one thing you can see here on the weekly time frame is that when you see these candles are just forming higher lows, right? So when the price is on an impulse face it upside, forms a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, right? So that just tells me that if I zoom inside of this range here, inside of this impulse, the 4 hour should just be trending like this, right? Now, to understand momentum and shift of momentum, you'll see that, you see this last bullish higher low here. You see how this bearish weekly candle closed below it? It doesn't have to close below it as long as we can clear out this wick, right? It could have been a bearish candle like this. Could have been a bearish candle like this with a long wick, right? And it still took out that previous candle's low, right? So what this should show me is the momentum has shifted. So that means that the pullback on the weekly is ready to start because the momentum has shifted on the candles, right? So if you zoom into this, if you highlight this here, this candlestick pattern where price took out the low, what should the 4-hour do? Since we already know that 4-hour structure is within the weekly candles, the 4-hour should show some type of reversal pattern, right? And you can see how the weekly candles with 4-hour structure, to kind of align with each other, and you could kind of pinpoint where the momentum is. When the shift of momentum happens, you could just continue following that momentum, right? So same thing here. When price pulls back on the weekly time frame, what's price doing, right? Price is just forming lower highs, right? You got a high, lower high, lower high. Then when the pullback is done on the weekly, what does it do? It takes out previous candles high, right? So once it take out previous candles high, what is the 4-hour going to be doing? It's going to be trending down and it's going to reverse, right? So you can see the momentum shifting and the 4-hour also aligning with the candles. And now you could just continue following 4-hour structure, right? You don't have to follow weekly structure, but you'll just know where the momentum is, right? You could have just continued following, catching sells here, right? Until we get that weekly turnaround where it takes out the high and it also breaks structure. Now you're just following this, right? So we're not just sitting around waiting on weekly pullbacks, weekly continuations, but we're just using the weekly candles to see, are we still bullish or are we still bearish, and does the 4-hour structure align with it, right? Now in this case scenario here, same thing, right? We're making an impulse, so that we're creating a higher high here. Now what will we need for price to turn around, right? We will need some type of a bearish candle. Sorry guys. We will need some type of a bearish candle that takes out this bullish candle's low, right? So in this case scenario, you should see on a 4-hour time frame, price will be trending up here, trending up, and then you'll see some type of turnaround with this bearish candle changing the momentum on the higher time frame and then shifting the 4-hour structure, right? So that's pretty much the ideal. Like strategy, right? And you'll see that this works very well and it's very simple to understand and very simple to implement. And that's the thing. I like simplicity, and this is one of the best ways to break down the chart. So let's kind of show you guys some examples here real quick. Let me just delete some of this stuff here, right? And we'll come back to it after. So here's an example. Let's take a look at weekly structure. As far as right now, remember, weekly structure, weekly candles are going to align with 4-hour structure, right? So look at this. We have a nice impulse to the upside, correction, impulse to the upside, creating a higher high. Price pulls back, fails to go higher, and then breaks structure, okay? Now, why didn't price just continue going higher, creating a higher high? I'll show you why. And you can see off of the candles, the candle momentum shift, right? So when price is just making an impulse to the upside, all we're going to do is following the higher lows of the bullish candles, right? So you can see what happens. We started off with this low. We got a higher low. This bearish candle was formed, but if this bearish candle, the momentum is still bullish. Why? Because this bearish candle never took out this previous bullish candle's low. So we just continue higher, creating a higher low. Same with this bearish candle, never took out bullish candle's higher low. Got another higher low, and then what? Look, we got a shift of momentum here with this bearish candle taking out a previous bullish candle's low, right? So you can see why price this did not continue going higher, creating a higher high. You can see the momentum shifted here, and then once it shifted here, it started doing what? Created this high, and so on, right? You can see we started forming lower highs and lower lows after that, right? So you can see how the shift of momentum is happening there, right? Now, just so you can see, remember, we have the shift of momentum here. Now let's see what's happening here. Remember, 4-hour structure aligns with weekly candles, right? Just like the little diagram picture is, right? If you look at, in this case scenario, it's monthly, right? You can see monthly candles are daily structure. If you shift this over, weekly candles will be 4-hour structure, right? So weekly candles align with 4-hour structure for the most part. So let's take a look here. We got a weekly shift of momentum here. So we should see 4-hour breaking structure to the downside. So let's take a look. And here we are, right? You can see we were pretty much trending bullish, right? You got your low, got your high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, then what? We got the shift on the weekly time frame. Weekly candle shifted. Look what happened here. Break of structure, right? Break of structure, price pulls back, and then what happens, right? Once we started shifting lower, once we, the weekly candles shifted and shifted that momentum, the structure also shifted bearish, and now we started creating what? Lower highs, lower high, lower high. You see that? And creating lower lows, right? Breaking new lows and creating lower lows, right? So you can see how price shifts momentum, and you can read that with just by understanding the candles itself, right? You can see, there was an entry here, there was a supply area here. I personally trade supply and demand, so that's why I'm drawing it, but you can see another supply area here, another one here, and so on, right? So you can see just by understanding the candles and reading weekly candles, you can see it kind of, when it shifts over, or when the momentum is, if the momentum is still going in one direction on the candles, so is the structure on the 4 hour. Right, this applies to, whatever time frame you want to use. If you want to use monthly candles, that will align with daily structure. If you want to use weekly candles like we do here, that will align with 4 hour structure. And if you want to use daily candles as the candles that you're reading for your momentum, then that aligns with 1 hour structure. So it always skips that one time frame and then goes to the second time frame, right? So that's one example there. Let's just, look at one more example here. Let's go to AU here. Let's remove whatever stuff I have from current market. Let's go back here real quick. Let's just see something. So here's another example here real quick. So here we can see we had what? A high, a lower low. Price formed like a double bottom here and then shot up this way. Why did price not create a lower low? Why did price just not pull back here and just create a lower low, right? One, of course, yeah, there's a level here, right? But other than that, you can see the momentum has shifted in this area. So let's take a look. So right now, look at this. Before, when price was trying to push down, it's created a high, sorry. Lower low, lower high, right? Creating lower highs here, just flowing with this momentum down. Now what happens? We got a two-part candle here that this high finally took out this candle's previous bearish candle's high. So what happened? It just shifted momentum, right? So we can see here on the candles on the weekly time frame that it shifted momentum. So if we highlight this area, what happened here, right? Once the weekly candle shifted momentum, remember weekly candles align with 4 hour structure. So once the momentum has shifted on the weekly, what happened on the 4 hour time frame? Let's take a look. Pretty simple, right? You had your lower high, lower low, got some internal structure, and then what happened? That candle that took out the previous week's high, the previous bearish week's high, also did what? Broke structure, right? So you can see how everything is aligning together. And then all you can see here, why, price is just forming lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and so on. Why? Because what? Weekly candles are also bullish and just flowing, creating higher lows. Let me just scoot over here, right? There you go. So you can see higher low, bearish candle didn't do anything, higher low, higher low, higher low, and so on. Higher low, and higher low, right? So price didn't shift until we took out this area here, right? It didn't shift again until we took out this area. So you can see, pretty simple, how, just by understanding this right here, it just makes everything more simple as far as your technical analysis, right? So you can use, monthly candles with daily structure, weekly candles with 4 hour structure, or daily candles with 1 hour structure, right? And you could play around with that, right? And then, let's say, for example, I'm using weekly candles with 4 hour structure. Then, I'll use 4 hour, 1 hour, M15 and play around there for entries and stuff like that. But you can see how, this way is very simple and easy to break down the market, and you don't have to, break down all monthly, weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, M15, M5, M1, and all these time frames. This is real clear cut and simple and very effective. All right, so that's pretty much what I want to show you. And again, here's another reason why I like using the weekly. It's because the weekly also can show you how the week can potentially end and how we can potentially start, right? So here's another thing. So let's say we do the same process, but I throw vertical lines to see the ranges of the week, right? So here's a trick here. So let's look at the same shift here, and let's follow this. So let's take this, that, and that. Okay. So now we know there's a shift of momentum here because we just analyzed it, but here's what throwing vertical lines on here also does, right? You could do this if you're doing the daily method, the daily candle method, the monthly candle method, or the weekly like I'm doing here. So here's a cool trick, right? You can see just by once price broke structure here, and just by understanding structure and the phases of structure, you can see, look, price did what? Let me just remove this magnet here real quick. So you can see price did what? Made an impulse to the downside. And this is closer to the end of the week. You see the end of the week is going to end here, right? So this is probably like Friday. So price started its pullback on Friday, right? So we broke structure, we created a lower low, and we started our pullback on Friday, ending the week in the middle of a pullback. So what do you think the next week is going to start doing, right? The next week is going to start off by completing this pullback and then continuing a new lower low. And then look what happened. So we opened up in the middle of the pullback here because we ended in the middle of a pullback. We completed the pullback and created a lower low. And it did it again, right? It came here. It was like closer to the end of the week, right? Close to the end of the week, probably Friday or something like that. And we ended again where? Starting a pullback. So what do you think the next week is going to do? We're going to complete this pullback. And then it went and finished off the week where? Created a lower low, right? It finished on a low. So how do you think the next week is going to start? Going to start off creating a pullback and then, continue that direction that we're following, the momentum that we're following. So you can see by also throwing vertical lines on these weeklies or monthly, which process you want to use from that diagram, it helps you figure out how the week can potentially start, how the week can potentially finish, right? And that can give you a more, in-depth detail in how, where can price create the high of the week, the low of the week, and all that stuff. So it's a very simple process, very easy to understand, and it's one of the most effective, simple strategies that I kind of created myself. I kind of took bits and pieces, and I learned from a lot of different people, but I comprehend it a lot differently, and I put it into a way that I can understand it, and it makes it a lot simpler for me to understand, right? The goal for me is to keep everything simple, and it just builds that confidence and that understanding in the market, so you won't hesitate to take any entries or hesitate on what direction I should be following, right? But that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. I hope you guys like it. I definitely have a lot of other things up my sleeve. I just showed you one way of taking this approach of the candle ranges. There's also another method that you can use with that same diagram, and I show you guys in a whole nother video. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.